Most men over 60 are quietly giving away the very thing that makes them magnetic to women, and they don't even realize it. It's not about money, status, or trying to compete with younger guys. The truth is, there's a unique energy that naturally comes with age, but if you don't know how to use it, it fades into the background and women stop noticing you. The men who unlock this secret don't just attract attention. They spark genuine curiosity, admiration, and connection, even from women who might normally overlook them. Here's what makes this so powerful. Attraction at this stage of life is no longer about surface-level qualities. Women are drawn to something deeper, something that reassures them while also sparking excitement. Sadly, most men unknowingly dull this part of themselves. That's why so many end up feeling invisible, ignored, or stuck in a cycle of disappointment. But for the few who learn how to harness it, dating becomes lighter, easier, and surprisingly fun again. The shift is real, and once you notice it, you'll realize it's been right in front of you all along. Women respond differently. They laugh more, lean in closer, and genuinely want to be around you. And here's the best part. This isn't about changing who you are. It's about reclaiming something you already have. Stick with me, and don't forget to like and subscribe, because what I'm about to reveal could completely transform the way you experience dating after 60. Meet Silas. He's 67 years old, a retired jazz musician from Ohio, and for most of his life, music was the language that helped him connect with people. But when his wife passed away unexpectedly at 64, the rhythm of his world fell silent. He went from playing smoky clubs and lighting up rooms with his saxophone to spending quiet evenings alone, staring at an empty chair across the dinner table. For nearly 3 years, Silas convinced himself that the best parts of life and love were behind him. He tried dipping his toes into the dating world, but every attempt left him feeling invisible. Women passed him by in restaurants, ignored him at social gatherings, and rarely returned his messages online. He wasn't the wealthiest guy. He didn't have the body of a marathon runner. And after decades of being off the market, he wasn't sure he even belonged in the dating scene anymore. But here's where it gets interesting. Silas didn't give up. He started paying attention, not to the things most men obsess over like hair dye, expensive clothes, or chasing younger women, but to something far more meaningful. He made a few subtle but powerful shifts in how he carried himself, how he spoke, and how he engaged with people. The changes were small, so small most men would overlook them, but they completely transformed the way women responded to him. Suddenly, he wasn't the lonely older guy anymore. When Silas walked into a room, women leaned in. They laughed at his jokes, touched his arm, and genuinely wanted to hear his stories. What shocked him most was that it wasn't about pretending to be someone he wasn't. He didn't need to become richer, fitter, or younger. All he had to do was bring out a side of himself that had been there all along, waiting to be rediscovered. And here's the emotional hook. Silas wasn't the tallest, the fittest, or the flashiest man in the room. But he was magnetic. His presence had a quiet confidence that drew women in like the opening notes of a jazz ballad. It wasn't about perfection. It was about authenticity, and women could feel it instantly. Stick around because I'll show you the exact shifts Silas made, and how you can apply them to your own life. If you've ever felt invisible, his story might just prove that your most attractive years aren't behind you. They might be right in front of you. Tip number 1. Presence over performance. When Silas first re-entered the dating world, he made the same mistake so many men make. He thought he had to perform. He believed he needed to be witty, impressive, and constantly on if he wanted a woman's attention. He'd catch himself rambling about his career in music, talking too much about his past, or nervously trying to drop stories that sounded more exciting than they really were. But the harder he tried, the more distant women seemed to become. Their smiles were polite, but their eyes wandered. Their conversations with him fizzled out quickly. One night, during a casual coffee date, Silas had an epiphany. Instead of trying to fill the silence with stories or prove his worth, he simply leaned back, looked the woman across from him in the eyes, and listened. Not half-hearted listening where you're just waiting for your turn to talk, but real listening, the kind where you're present, curious, and fully tuned into the person in front of you. That small shift changed everything. Suddenly, women opened up. They shared details about their passions, their struggles, their hopes for the future. And when Silas responded, not with rehearsed lines or flashy jokes, but with genuine interest, they felt something rare. They felt valued. Women later told him, "You make me feel like I'm the only person in the room." And that's the magic. Presence is magnetic because it shows respect, curiosity, and emotional maturity. Qualities far more attractive than clever one-liners or rehearsed charm. Think about it. Women over 50, 60 and beyond have spent decades dealing with men who talk over them, tune them out, or treat them like background noise. When you break that pattern by showing up fully present, by putting the phone away, holding eye contact, nodding with genuine interest, you instantly stand out. You create a space where a woman feels safe, seen, and connected. And here's the key takeaway. Presence doesn't require effort in the way performance does. You don't have to memorize jokes or impress with your resume. You simply have to slow down, breathe, and give a woman your full attention. That's what Silas discovered, and it was the turning point in his dating life. Presence speaks louder than performance ever could, and once you embody it, you'll notice women naturally leaning in, just like they did with Silas. Tip number 2. Curiosity is attractive. When Silas first began dating again, many of his conversations followed the same stale script. They circled around daily routines, old health complaints, or predictable small talk about the weather. The conversations weren't terrible, but they weren't memorable either. Women smiled politely, nodded, and eventually moved on. Deep down, Silas realized that if he wanted genuine connection, he needed to step out of autopilot. That's when he shifted his focus from talking about himself to asking questions that invited women to share their passions, dreams, and stories. Instead of asking, "How's your week going?" he'd ask, "What's something you've always wanted to try but never had the chance to?" Instead of dwelling on aches and pains, he leaned into curiosity. If you could wake up tomorrow anywhere in the world, where would it be? Those kinds of questions did something remarkable. They lit women up. Their posture changed, their eyes sparkled, and their voices carried excitement. They weren't just talking about hobbies or routines. They were sharing little pieces of themselves that usually stayed hidden. And because Silas listened with genuine interest, the women felt seen in a way they hadn't in years. Here's the truth. Curiosity signals more than interest. It signals vitality. It tells a woman that you're still engaged with life, that you have the energy and openness to explore the world alongside her. Most men fall into the trap of rehashing the past or venting about what's gone wrong. But when you ask a woman about her future, about what excites her, you separate yourself instantly. You remind her that life and love can still be an adventure. Silas discovered that his best dates weren't the ones where he tried to impress, but the ones where he asked the kind of questions that made women smile for hours afterward. That smile wasn't about him being perfect. It was about her feeling alive again in his presence. So here's my question for you. When was the last time someone asked you a question that made you smile? Share your answer in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Because chances are, the same kind of question that lights you up is the one that could make a woman light up on your very next date. Tip number 3. Adventure sparks chemistry. After years of living in routine, Silas realized that if he wanted to feel alive again, and if he wanted women to feel alive around him, he had to step outside his comfort zone. So he took a leap. Instead of limiting himself to the same old coffee shops or TV nights at home, he joined a local pickleball group and signed up for a senior travel club. First he was nervous. He didn't know anyone. He wasn't sure if he'd fit in. But something remarkable happened. Those choices didn't just give him new activities, they gave him a new kind of energy. When Silas showed up on the pickleball court, he laughed at his mistakes, celebrated little victories, and bonded with people over playful competition. On trips with a travel group, He explored new places with wide-eyed curiosity, whether it was trying local food, learning bits of a new language, or sharing stories around a dinner table with strangers who quickly became friends. Women noticed. They weren't drawn to him because he was the best athlete or the most adventurous traveler. They were drawn to the way he embraced life. Here's the key. Adventure isn't about climbing mountains or flying across the world. It's about demonstrating that you're still open, curious, and willing to grow. Women admire men who are willing to try new things because it signals that you're not stuck in the past. It tells them you're capable of creating joy in the present, and even more importantly, that you're someone who can share new experiences in the future. When Silas walked into a room after these adventures, he carried stories that sparked excitement, not because they were grand, but because they were fresh, filled with laughter, and infused with possibility. A simple story about missing a serve in pickleball could turn into a playful moment. A story about a bus ride through a new city became an invitation to talk about travel dreams. And here's the twist. The biggest surprise wasn't about what Silas did. It wasn't the pickleball paddle or the plane tickets. It was about how he carried himself after saying yes to life again. That lightness, that openness, that spark. It's what women found irresistible. Stay with me because what happened next will show you the single biggest shift that transformed Silas from invisible into unforgettable. Tip 4. Humor keeps the spark alive. Silas had another secret weapon, one that came naturally to him once he stopped trying so hard. Humor. Not the kind of humor that tries to shock or impress, but light, playful jokes that made women feel instantly at ease. One of his favorites. When a woman teased him about squinting at the menu, he laughed and said, "Guess I need my reading glasses for romance too." That little line, delivered with a grin, broke the ice and turned an ordinary moment into something memorable. What Silas discovered is something research confirms. Surveys show that women over 60 consistently rank humor and playfulness above looks when it comes to attraction. At this stage of life, women aren't looking for perfection. They're looking for someone who can make them feel good, who can remind them that joy and laughter are still very much alive. Think about it. Most people, especially as they age, fall into patterns of seriousness. Conversations get heavy with talk of bills, health issues, or family drama. There's a place for those things, of course, but if every interaction feels like a weight, the spark fizzles out fast. Playfulness, on the other hand, lifts the energy, creates a sense of fun, lightness, and chemistry. For Silas, humor became a bridge. It helped him connect with women in a way that felt effortless. He didn't need to tell long, rehearsed stories or try to outshine anyone. He simply sprinkled in playful observations, laughed at himself, and created moments of shared amusement. Women told him it was refreshing. They felt like they could relax, let their guard down, and just enjoy being in the moment with him. And here's why this matters for you. Laughter isn't just attractive, it's bonding. Studies even show that couples who laugh together feel more connected and satisfied in their relationships. Humor signals warmth, emotional intelligence, and resilience. It tells a woman, "Life with me won't be boring. It will be full of moments worth smiling about." So ask yourself this. Do you think laughter beats looks after 60? Drop your answer in the comments below. Because if Silas's story proves anything, it's that a well-timed smile or playful joke can open doors that polished appearances never could. Tip number 5. Quiet confidence wins. One of the most powerful shifts Silas made wasn't about what he wore, how fit he was, or how many clever lines he had ready. It was about how he carried himself. Early on, he made the mistake of trying to act younger, pushing himself to keep up with trends, dressing in clothes that didn't feel natural, or pretending to have energy he didn't truly have. But he quickly realized something important. Women can sense when a man is trying too hard. And nothing is less attractive than inauthenticity. So Silas made a decision. Instead of fighting against his age, he leaned into it. He embraced his silver hair, wore clothes that made him feel comfortable yet polished, and spoke with the calm tone of someone who had lived through enough to know his worth. He didn't brag, he didn't posture, and he didn't chase. He simply showed up as himself, with a gentle confidence that radiated through his presence. That quiet assurance did something remarkable. It made women feel at ease. They didn't feel pressured to be on around him. They felt safe, respected, and truly seen. And that safety created space for attraction to grow naturally. Unlike loud bravado or showy behavior, quiet confidence communicates something deeper. That you're comfortable in your own skin, and therefore able to make others feel comfortable in theirs. Think about the men who try to prove themselves with status symbols, flashy gestures, or exaggerated charm. The energy often feels forced, and women pick up on that instantly. But when you walk into a room with a relaxed smile, steady posture, and the calmness of someone who doesn't need to be the loudest voice, suddenly you become magnetic. Silas didn't have to compete with younger men or reinvent himself to be attractive. Instead, he showed women the kind of presence that only comes with experience. The patience to listen, the wisdom to know what matters, and the confidence to enjoy the moment without needing validation. That's why quiet confidence wins. It's not about being the strongest, richest, or flashiest man in the room. It's about having the self-assurance to be fully yourself. And when you embrace that, just like Silas did, you'll notice women leaning closer, feeling safer, and being drawn to you. Not because you're trying to impress them, but because you've already impressed yourself. Silas's journey shows just how powerful small changes can be. Not long ago, his evenings were spent alone, the television filling the silence of a house that once echoed with music and laughter. He wondered if this was simply what aging meant, fading quietly into the background while the rest of the world carried on. But the truth was, Silas wasn't done. He just hadn't yet tapped into the qualities that made him magnetic in the first place. By shifting his focus from trying to impress to simply being present, he gave women the gift of his full attention. By asking about passions and dreams, he reignited excitement in conversations. By saying yes to adventure, whether on a pickleball court or exploring a new city, he showed that he was still vibrant and open to life. His humor reminded women that joy doesn't have an age limit, and his quiet confidence made them feel safe, respected, and genuinely drawn in. The transformation wasn't about Silas becoming someone new. It was about uncovering the best version of who he already was. That's the beauty of this stage of life. You don't have to reinvent yourself, chase trends, or pretend to be younger. What truly matters is how you carry the wisdom, playfulness, and self-assurance you've earned over the years. Those are the very qualities women find irresistible, especially after 60. Before long, Silas was no longer invisible. Women wanted to sit beside him, laugh with him, and hear his stories. They admired his calm energy and the way he made them feel truly valued. His days of long, lonely evenings were replaced with dinners, adventures, and meaningful connections that reminded him he still had so much to give, and so much to enjoy. And here's the emotional takeaway. Silas didn't need to reinvent himself. He just stopped wasting the qualities that make men irresistible after 60. The same potential lies within you too. If you've ever felt overlooked or forgotten, remember this. Attraction at this stage isn't about youth, it's about depth. Women aren't looking for perfection. They're looking for presence, joy, curiosity, and confidence. So the question is, are you ready to embrace those qualities and write your own transformation story? Men over 60, here's the truth you won't often hear. Women aren't waiting for perfection. They're waiting for presence, curiosity, laughter, and confidence. Too many men waste precious years thinking they need to be younger, richer, or fitter to attract love again. But as Silas's story proves, attraction at this stage of life runs much deeper than surface-level things. It's not about competing with anyone else. It's about showing up fully as yourself, and doing it in a way that makes women feel seen, safe, and excited to be around you. Think about what we've uncovered together. Presence turns ordinary conversations into moments of connection. Curiosity shows women you care about their passions and dreams, not just their routines. A sense of adventure sparks chemistry because it proves you're still embracing life. Humor lightens the heart and makes time together unforgettable. And quiet confidence, perhaps the most powerful quality of all, draws women in without effort because it radiates authenticity. These aren't abstract concepts. They're actionable shifts you can begin practicing today. The next time you're on a date or even in casual conversation, try giving your full attention without rushing to impress. Ask a question that goes beyond small talk and see how her eyes light up. Say yes to something new, even if it scares you a little. Allow yourself to laugh and share a playful moment. And most importantly, stop apologizing for your age. Own it. Carry yourself with the calm assurance that comes from a life well lived. Because here's the takeaway. Women aren't looking for a flawless man. They're looking for a man who makes them feel alive, valued, and appreciated. And you already have everything it takes to be that man. You just need to stop holding back the qualities that make you naturally magnetic. If Silas's journey inspired you, take the next step. Hit that like button to let me know this resonated with you. Share this video with a friend who might need a reminder that it's never too late to find love and connection. And don't forget to subscribe to Senior Relationships After 60 for more insights you won't find anywhere else. Because your story isn't over, it might just be getting started.